be remote if you.
So Steve, did you have to say that in front of the sheriff?
Yeah. And when I get up and leave and move it back on.
Okay.
Jeez, you guys are mean.
We're ready.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the Meeker County Board of Commissioners regular session, Tuesday, November 18th, 2025, to order. Would you please stand and join me in the pledge? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment period. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to address the Board of Commissioners? Okay, seeing none. Andrew, is there any additions to the board meeting agenda?
Yeah, we had one addition from when it was initially printed, and that is the tobacco license transfer for the two Jack's stores in Watkins and Eden Valley, both of which are on the consent agenda.
Okay. Hearing that, I would look for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Mr. Chair, I'll move the agenda as, with the amendments.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Schmidt. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Van Ort. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Andrew, the consent agenda, please.
Yes, we have approval of November 4th board meeting minutes. Approval of the Health and Human Services County and Hospital accounts payable. Approval of the 2025 Statement of Work for Audit Services with Clifton Larson Allen. Approval of a resolution urging the repeal of the nuclear energy production moratorium. A resolution approving a joint powers agreement renewal for the BCA and court access. Approval of a change to the tobacco license transfer for Jacks of Watkins and Eden Valley, and that is the consent agenda.
Okay. Any questions on the consent agenda from anyone?
Mr. Chair, I would, like to remove at this time the resolution 2025-18 urging to repeal Minnesota's moratorium on nuclear energy production. I spoke to Andrew yesterday afternoon, and I'd like us to do a little more homework on that at our annual meeting here coming up in a couple weeks. AMC already has this language in their packet, and there's some conversation around redundancy and stuff. So before we approve it, I'd like to have us do a little more background homework on it if we could.
So is it just about the verbiage or?
There's a few things. It's not real clear right now. It's not about the verbiage. This is coming from Sherburne County, and AMC we're already in favor of lifting the moratorium. At AMC, it's already in our platform. So this is Sherburne's version of it, and we don't want to be conflicting messages. So they want to do a little clarity is what we're looking for.
So, Mr. Chair, then what we'll do is remove the consent agenda, put it under my item, and then we'll do the rest of the conversation, or rest of the meeting, and come back to it and have the discussion, figure out how we want to address this specific issue going forward, so.
It's not a no, not never. It's let's do a little more homework.
Okay. Any other questions on any of the other items in the consent? Hearing none, I would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda with the edit of the resolution on nuclear energy.
I'll move the consent agenda, Mr. Chair.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Olberg. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schmidt. Any discussion? We have a resolution within our consent agenda. So, Corey, if you would be so kind.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Samke,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Ort,
Yes.
Commissioner Olberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes, motion carries. Now we have a presentation on loss of agricultural land, and that's from our Future Farmers of America. So if you'd like to step up to the.
Thank you. My name is Kevin Dahlman, representing the Dassel-Cokato FFA. With us also too is Larry Marquette, the advisor of Dassel-Cokato FFA. We thank you for this opportunity to present. We're going to be explaining a little bit about why we specifically wanted to come to you. But before we begin, we happen to have two birthdays within our group today. turning sweet 16 today.
Okay.
And guess
Happy
what she's
birthday.
doing this afternoon?
Good luck.
She's making her road test this afternoon.
Oh, good luck.
Oh, good luck.
She's hoping to pass her driver's license. And Larry is more than 16. So, anyhow, Larry, I'll have you explain a little bit about what we're doing, and then we'll go from there.
If I may, before you start, I want to remind everyone that that's the microphone. So if you're going to stay in that formation, please talk loud so that our folks that are on YouTube can hear you. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to come here. This is our Ag Issues Forum team. So Ag Issues is a contest within FFA in the leadership development category where students select a topic that has a couple different viewpoints on it. You're not supposed to come away with this is the way we gotta go or that's the way we gotta go. Just to try to provide evidence and research and ideas on both sides of an issue so the audience becomes more well informed. And so this year they picked the topic of development of ag land. And so a way to do 5 public performances, we've been to, let's see, the Cocato Chamber of Commerce, we had the Wright County Farm Bureau, the State Farm Bureau, the Cocato, this one, and also the Minnesota Department of Agriculture. So they presented to all of those groups, try to get some feedback on things to add to their presentation, but also ask them some questions about how much they know about this topic. So we're thankful for the opportunity to come here and hope you enjoy what they have to say.
We are not allowed to come to a conclusion. That's for you to decide maybe who had the stronger argument. As you'll hear shortly, it deals a lot with policy, land zoning, and so on. The sheet I gave you, typically we focused on Wright County because that, of course, has a lot of urban sprawl, especially on the eastern side of our county. But what I handed out to you is how much land Meeker County has lost in farmland in the last 20 years. Land that will probably not come back into production. So with that then, they're not off script yet. We'll be competing in middle of December. So they'll be reading it. Shortly, they're gonna have to start memorizing it, but you'll see them reading it today. And then we'd like some good solid feedback. Don't be afraid to mince any words. We'd rather they hear it today than from the judges a month from now, so.
Well, you came to the right place.
You heard Mr. Schmidt, you heard Litchfield's presentation at their farm bureau, and you called a spade, so, very good. So with that, let's see, I just hit the left one here.
Move the mouse to the left to make sure it's on this. Here.
Okay. Go ahead.
Guys, how much longer is this road trip going to take?
We're almost there, to the gas station. It's about 15 minutes. But look at those solar panels.
Wait, wasn't there a cornfield there last year? Wait, yeah,
I love this song.
This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Islands. From the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. I love that song too. Who sings it?
what do you got for you? It came out in 1944. That's over 80 years ago. I think nearly everyone knows the melody.
I love driving in the countrysides, looking at the forests, the cornfields, the rolling hills, forest and forest. It's Mother Nature at its finest.
It's hard to imagine what the land looked like before anyone else was here. I'm sure it has certainly changed, but has it changed for better or worse?
I'm not sure, but I know we'll never go back. There's just too many people.
Do you notice as we get closer to cities, you don't see more corn, soybean, or hay fields anymore? Everything has been replaced with houses, roads, and industrial buildings. Acres and acres of land that used to be farmland in my younger days are now suburbs and cities. Will it ever stop? There isn't any more land being created.
I know, I just read that Wright County, this county that my school is in, lost nearly 16,000 acres since 2014. Each township has about 23,000 acres. We've lost nearly 2,000 townships farmland, the size of Cocato Township or Stockholm Township in a little over 5 years. Since 2002, Meeker County has lost over 30,000 farmland acres. That's about a 10% decrease in farmlands in 20 years. That's way too much. At the current rate, there won't be any farmland left. We need ways to stop this loss, and we need it now.
The whole state of Minnesota is not much better. Since 2001, we have lost over 180,000 acres of ag land, primarily to urban expansion and low-density housing. A worse statistic is that over 80% of that land was considered best suited for growing food and other crops. When this high-quality land is being impacted by development, intensive food production is pushed more to marginal lands, where input costs are higher, crop yields are lower, and soils grow more quickly. Letting our best agricultural land be impacted by development is a triple whammy for Minnesota's food systems, economy, and our environment.
This equates to a 7.5 decrease in farm acres since 2002. That's way too much to lose. We must find a way to stop this loss, or when we finally wake up, it will be too late.
Let's look at the bigger picture. In the Midwestern states, we have lost over 900,000 acres of ag land that will never be returned to production. Minnesota was in the top 5 behind Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Wisconsin. That's nothing to be proud of, and there is no evidence that the rate is slowing.
Let's make it more real. It will take us 15 minutes to get to the gas station. In those 15 minutes, the United States will have lost over 60 acres of land due to multiple reasons. That's 45 football fields. Way too much that will never be recovered to produce food again.
Let's look at why we are losing the farmland. Urban sprawl is probably the biggest stealer. Look at this. It pictures the old Mets Stadium in Bloomington, Minnesota, where the Twins and Vikings used to play in the 1960s. If you could see the picture closer, there's a tractor in the field to the right of the stadium. Today stands the largest shopping mall in the USA. No more crops being grown there.
Smaller towns are probably worse. Picture this before and after eastern Wright County town of St. Michael. Farmland is now covered with concrete, asphalt, and houses. No farming is going on there.
Infrastructure, although necessary to move commerce, takes a portion of land out of production. Each roundabout takes about an acre, and each mile of freeway takes anywhere from 46 to 65 acres.
Low-density housing. This is where a homeowner purchases, let's say, 10 acres of land. They build on 1 to 2 acres of property. Rarely is the balance farmed. Although many rural counties have a 1 for 40 rural zoning variances are granted to accommodate a smaller purchase.
It all comes down to no farm, no food. We cannot sustain enough food production to feed the world on fewer and fewer acres at the current rate. We need more regulations to curb the high loss of agricultural land, and we need it now.
How much is your car worth?
About $20,000.
So if someone came along and offered you $100,000 for your car, would you sell it?
Probably. That's a lot of money.
Exactly, that's my point. When a farmer is offered something 5 to 10 times the value of his farmland from a developer, why call him for selling? Chances like that rarely come along, so when they do, most will take advantage of the offer. I don't need some city slicker telling me what I can and cannot do with my land.
Many of these farmers are frequently near suburbs or cities, where getting in and out of their fields can be difficult. They're fighting city traffic where people have little respect for farm machinery. They might complain about the spraying the fields with crop protectants, animal manure, or noises. Many times it's just not worth the hassle, though the farmer sells. They've been regulated out. Can you blame them?
Most farmers don't have the traditional 401k or 403b or retirement packages. Their farmland is their nest egg. So when retirement comes, they sell the land to spend their golden years, and they should be able to sell it to the highest bidder. If someone comes along and tells them who or how they must sell it to, it reduces the value. Do you like it when the value of your retirement plan goes down? I don't think so.
Farming is a very crucial business. Sometimes when prices or yields are down, one must sell to exit the business. Many times it's just best. And of course, they want to sell it to capture the biggest dollar. Many times it does not go to the farmer, who will farm it again.
It comes down to 5 basic rights of individuals' ability to sell land to a buyer. 1. Extensive of private property rights. Individuals have a natural right to own and control property. The U.S. Constitution and common law generally protect these rights.
Freedom of contract. Individuals should be free to enter into agreements and choose their contractual partners without government interference. This is a fundamental exercise.
Economic efficiency. Land should be able to be transferred to those who can put it to its most productive use.
Incentive for investment. Knowing they can sell and profit from investments can put it to its most productive use.
Lifestyles and flexibility of people needs change due to life events like retirement, relocation, or financial hardship. The ability to sell land provides flexibility to
Protecting our rights. We don't need any more regulations on who and what we can do with our farmland. There are frequently unintended consequences and negative impacts on landowners and the agriculture economy. If we want to sell to a developer a non-ag purpose, we should be able to.
Regulations work. Historical data shows that Minnesota has lost approximately half of its original wetlands. Since the enactment of the Wetlands Conservation Act of 1991, we have a net gain of about 43,000 acres. Why can't we do the same with farmland? Don't be like an ostrich with their head stuck in the sand. Doing nothing will not make the problem go away.
Okay, Violet and Natalie, but if nothing is done, the problem will just get worse. Minnesota has done several things to help preserve farmland.
They have the Green Acres Rule, which can give the property tax owner some relief on farmland.
Also, we have the Agricultural Land Preserve Program, which helps preserve blocks of farmland from being developed.
FarmLink is another program that helps farms transition their younger land to individuals interested in farming, if that's the retiring farmer's wishes.
Solar farms are the latest farmland dollars. About 8,500 acres of farmland have been converted to solar farms in Minnesota. However, if all planned projects were built, it would soar to over 70,000 acres. Our State Department of Agriculture is in a unique position trying to balance protecting ag land versus the state's renewable energy goals. Anyway, Violet and Natalie, you say no more regulations on farmland.
We already have the U.S. Constitution and other posts and laws that protect the rights to own and sell land. We don't need any more.
Farmers and landowners should have the right to sell food whenever they want.
Farmers use their farmland as assets for retirement living.
It's not fair for city dwellers to tell us how to preserve our farmland.
Current planning and zoning laws and regulations have not stopped ag land loss. Big money usually wins. Why would more laws work?
Allison and Megan, you say more must be done to prevent further loss of ag land.
We are losing farmland at an alarming rate. Something needs to be done starting now. Doing nothing is not an answer.
The current world population is just over 8 billion and is expected to rise to nearly 10 billion by 2050. How will we feed them with the farmland?
Improvements in technology for crop yields will not keep pace with food demand. We need more good land to raise food.
Once the land is lost, we'll probably never get it back into production. It just doesn't happen.
Every little bit counts. Let's preserve 1 acre at a time.
Regulations do work. Look what it has done to preserve our wetlands.
This land is my land.
This land is our land.
So, who's right?
That's the end. All right, your policymakers that have direct influence on how ag land can move, go ahead.
Well, I think, very good job, by the way, and I could tell some of you are working really hard to memorize pretty good portions of it, so keep up the good work. But I think, it's a great topic, because, it's kind of that constant, chicken versus egg type scenario, you know, do you want more regulation, but farmers independently are not built that way. I mean, we like to be independent and stay away from regulation, so there's always that push-pull factor there, so it is a challenge, and you do have rights to do, you know, what you want with your land within guidelines, of
Yes.
course. Don't matter if you're a
Yes.
farmer or anybody else, but, it's interesting to hear the statistics. And Wright County, fastest growing county in the state,
Yeah.
I believe, population wise, so you definitely have some big impacts there.
And we haven't updated this, but the solar farm deal is certainly more prominent, especially the I-94 corridor to the north of us. Commissioner Tom Peterson told us that were they to accomplish the full goals of the state of Minnesota, it could be just short of 500,000 acres
Yes.
in solar farms alone.
Yes.
Well, for me, it's like, again, we just talked about the nuclear thing. And to me, that's an important issue that really mitigates the whole need for so much farmland, because you can create so much more energy with so much less footprint.
Smaller footprint.
And that's a huge, I think, realization that we need the power too, but it doesn't have to be through very, land-intensive kinds of processes, which the solar typically is, and so.
Quick, I gotta make sure the girls do most of the talking. But the solar farm people, they'll say, well, we're not buying it, we're leasing it.
Yeah.
And that after the 25, 30 years, you know, it can go back to production agriculture. That won't happen.
No.
Excuse me.
I've had a thought. It's supply and demand. If we have less and less farmland in our supply of, I would think that that would drive up the cost of, that land, which will then drive up the cost of the production, what you're producing as farmers. And I would be interested to know if there's any kind of data that would show, that would connect those two things. I think it's pretty vague, but I would like to know, you know, we have inflation, we have seen everything increase. But I think there might be some relationship to the increase in egg prices because of the decrease in the egg land supply. Just a thought that I have. And also, as far as my land rights, my rights to my land are regulated when they interfere with the greater good or my neighbor's good. My rights are only my rights until they hurt someone else. And so those things are, should be considered. And so this is a concern I also have. So I appreciate your presentation. Thank you.
I think this is a discussion this board has had on more than one occasion.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's gotten a little,
Yes.
yeah. I'm also a believer that if someone owns property, they should be able to do what they want with it. However, as Commissioner Cheryl has said, what if we didn't have any regulations over our water? What would be happening to our lakes? People, right, they could do anything they wanted, and pretty soon we wouldn't have the beautiful lakes. I also understand that for farmers, it's, when they retire, that's their income. We're fighting people, when they come in and say we're gonna put solar in or electric poles like we're doing now, they have a lot of authority, and you can talk till you're blue in the face, but as we found out, they're gonna kind of go where they wanna go, right? So, I think you guys do a good job. It's a great subject for now, so. If I had to pick a winner, I couldn't today, could you guys? I mean, I know how I lean, just because that's how I lean, but there was some good debate. And I agree with Cheryl, supply and demand is that's what controls prices, right?
So my son-in-law and daughter live in Wright County, Otsego.
Oh, my.
Everybody nods, oh yeah. They built a house several years ago. It's now a part of 100 other homes all around it. So the question I have for you is, in order for this to happen, where's it going to go if it doesn't infringe on some farmland? I mean, I think you said that the population is 8 billion now, it's gonna grow to 10 billion by 2050. Where are we going with those other 2 billion people?
They're gonna be building those straight up in the air.
You have to go vertical
They're
rather
gonna
than
go,
horizontal.
and they're gonna,
We don't know what
No,
country those.
that's true, and they're gonna
That gets divided up.
buy up family homes to do it. I think it's already happening some places. And then
I think
everybody-
a house on 3 acres, that 3 acres could fit 2 or 3 houses.
Right.
And so this is why we have planning and zoning, so that we can control urban sprawl. And so as a county board, we have a comprehensive land use plan. And that shows us where our urban areas can grow. And it shows us what that looks like going forward to the future. And so we need to stick with that plan and not just randomly allow developments of 3 and 4 acres everywhere in order to protect farmland. But
do you factor into your land use plan that 80% plus of that land was good productive land? Put those developments on scrappy ground.
Exactly.
yes, yes.
I wouldn't be very happy if they told me I couldn't buy 3 acres of land either, so there's that part, you know, so I want 3 acres.
Here's a question for this team. How many other teams are you competing against?
Oh, probably 8 to 10.
Okay. Is it a regional, is it state?
Everybody goes direct to the state.
Okay.
There's no regional on this one, Steve. Oh,
Let these girls talk. So there's about 10 within the state,
We go
okay.
directly to state this middle of December.
Okay,
So we don't do region because they're kind of different enough teams.
okay,
We go directly to state and whoever, like, when state will go to national.
okay. And when is nationals?
It's it'll be like next year, October.
Oh, okay. So at the FFA convention in Louisville, or is it, if it's in Kentucky?
So each one of the 10 teams you're competing against pick their own subject?
Yes.
Okay, so it's all in the presentation in, okay,
I think it's a great subject. I loved it.
Yeah.
yeah, very good.
Very good.
any questions from the audience or assembly members?
Do you think there's any components of things, factors that you deal with that they didn't address that they should throw away from their presentation? That you consider?
I think that, you know, that could change county to county to county.
Sure.
You know, what we do in Meeker may not be the same as Wright, or may not be the same as Stearns, so you get too technical or too, I mean, it's different.
Yeah.
So, that's just my thought on that, that's all.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Can I talk now?
Yeah, Steve, can you talk now? Goodness gracious. You're not in his, you're not in the voting area, are
I'm
you?
not in the
Okay,
voting area.
just checking. I didn't think so.
Pretty close.
Me and
together.
Kevin go way back.
No, we've talked a little bit about that as team, is that, you know, the judges, they may come from urban, you know, they may come from rural, we don't know who the judges will be, there'll probably be 5 judges scoring them. So, could a personal bias come in there? Yeah, it's possible, but we hope that they'll be looking at it objectively.
And those 5 judges won't be subject matter experts.
Correct.
So it really does come down to the presentation and, okay.
They do put, or talk about your 10-page portfolio.
Yesterday we put, well, for the most part, we put like 10 pages together of like questions, our sources, and pictures of all of our
presentations
Mhm.
done.
There's history, put like a bunch of questions about it, and had to write 2 pages about it.
So, with that then, we need documentation that we were physically here, that we just didn't write down on paper. So if we
It's on
could,
YouTube.
okay, but if we could have like a gal stand behind you and then we get a picture
Oh,
of the Meeker
absolutely.
County Board. And then from you, Mr. Administrator, we could get a thank you note saying thank you, Cato, for presenting the day. We need to include that in our portfolio. So why don't you go behind?
Are we buying them lunch too?
What's that? Yeah, maybe. It's refreshing to see something like this.
Absolutely love it. Excellent.
Scooch.
Should we roll a little bit?
Yeah, get a little slight right there.
All right, let's cut.
Pretend we like one another.
Like this?
Ready? Thanks. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, it was very good.
Thank
do
you.
like it.
Appreciate that.
You told me to call a
I like
spade
to
a
have the
spade.
I do too.
Happy birthday, girls. Good luck on your driving.
I contacted Wright County to see if we could present to them. And the planning and zoning individual, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Then he run it upstairs and they asked.
Wow,
Oh.
what does that mean?
So I was very
Ouch.
pleased when I got a hold of Mr. Schmidt. And 4 hours later, we were on your agenda. So, thank you, Steve.
He gets it done, doesn't he? Mr.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Okay.
Good job.
Thank you
Good job,
very
ladies.
much. Good job.
Yeah.
Good luck, ladies.
Yep.
And don't worry about that driving test, you're gonna do just fine.
Miles. They dress so different.
I know, right?
All right, next up, we have Dr. Ashley Joes, Woodland Centers, for our annual update.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Ashley.
I like to come over here, give an update on what's happening with
Woodland Centers. This year, I'm gonna talk really specifically about our purchase of service contracts, some of the history, where we've been, where we're going this year. But if you have any questions about Woodland Centers, mental health, substance use generally, please feel free to ask those questions as well. Happy to answer them. So just talking about our purchase of service contract, it really has evolved over the years, so I just think it's helpful to go back for, even for some of commissioners that maybe are not as familiar with Woodland Centers or some of these contracts, just to understand how did we get here? Why do we have these contracts? What are they for? And how they've evolved over the years. So that's really what I would hope to talk about today, but like I said, please ask any other questions. So we were established in 1958 as a mental health center, and during the 60s and 70s, we really didn't do a lot of fee-for-service billing. We were established really on state grants, federal grants, and that's how we lived for quite a few years, quite a few decades, honestly. And then in the early 1980s, the counties became the mental health authority. And with that, the state said, okay, counties, now you pay for it. And essentially, grants and contracts went away, and we had to really work with our counties to say, okay, how are we gonna help pay for some of these services? And that's where our purchase of service contracts really started, was in 1981. In 1982, we created a three-tier formula, which is tier 1 being administrative fee, about $25,000. Tier 2 being $2 per capita, and then tier 3 being a subsidy to help with our sliding fee scale. We offer services to anybody that walks in our door at a sliding fee scale, and almost every service is covered. Your contracts only cover certain services under your mental health authority, but that's how the first tier structure was created. When we started in the 60s and 70s and early 80s, we had 8 counties involved with us. McLeod and Big Stone were a part of us at that time. And in 1981, when we were trying to work through these contracts, those 2 counties actually broke off. And so we were down to 6 counties at that time. Luckily, Big Stone County has now come back. They're a part of us again. In 2017, they came back. McLeod County is still kind of doing their own thing. We do some services in McLeod County. They are really running their own services. So a little bit of history there. In the 2000s, we went away from that 3-tier structure to a Part A and a Part B. Part A being the administrative, non-revenue things that we do. So we run a 24-hour crisis line. We do county supervision. We participate in local advisory committee meetings, things that we do that you just cannot bill for, that we do for the counties. And so that was kind of this non-administrative or administrative, non-revenue services. That was a bucket of funds. And then we had our sliding fee scale. So we're doing services. Some people get sliding fee. We need to help subsidize those services. So there's kind of 2 buckets that we moved it to. And so at that time, the POS contract was between 24 to 29% of our overall revenue. It was a significant portion of how we paid for our services and how we really just lived to be a mental health center during that time. And then we move into the 2010s and 2020s. Overall, as we have grown and as we have done more fee-for-service, as we became a CCBHC, the POS contract has reduced down to almost 10% of our overall revenue. So it has substantially decreased in comparison to all of our other revenue that we pull in for actually billing for services. So just over time, you can see how that has changed over the years. And then if you look at 2022, we consolidated all of our agreements into one agreement. So we had 6 contracts, 7 at that point in 2022. And so they all looked similar. They were all the same contract. They just had different dollar amounts. So at that time, we all said, we're all in this together. We're 7 counties strong. Let's create one contract that we all sign together. We're all in agreement with. Good, bad, or ugly, that's the choice that we made, and sometimes that can create a lot of conversation because we have 7 counties that now have to agree on one contract. At that time, we also created specific allocations. So essentially before that, in 2021 and prior, we had a bucket of money that all just went towards sliding fee scale services. And the counties were like, we really don't know where these dollars are going. Help us understand. So we created specific allocations for mobile crisis. The state came in and said, mobile crisis is a 3-tier formula. You use the grant, you bill, and the county should pay for part of it. And we said, fine, we will allocate part of our purchase of service contract because it's already some of our contributions anyway. And then we have youth crisis and detox. These are services that are not paid for by any other funding source. The counties were the ones that paid the cost to have these here. We At the time, we were the only youth crisis center in the entire state. We are now one of two. Olmsted County has built one with the support of Mayo Clinic. We do not have Mayo Clinic to back our youth crisis center. So with the support of our counties, we are able to continue to operate that. And so in 2022, we put designated dollars in our POS contracts towards those two service lines to help pay for the administrative costs, just to have them available. And then the remaining funds went to sliding fee scale. So again, this was just our way of starting to designate out where some of these dollars are going, so it makes it clear in the contracts. At that time, looking at the counties, the county finance folks came into our meetings as well during this time and requested that we put 10% of the contracts towards community education and 10% towards outreach. And that was because counties have to show that they are putting dollars towards all of these brass codes to meet their mental health authority requirements. That has since changed, is my understanding, is that you don't have to have a certain dollar amount in each of those brass codes, you just have to show that you're doing it. But at the time, you had to have a certain dollar amount and meet those thresholds for maintenance of effort, I believe is the word. So some of that has shifted, honestly, since 2022, so not even that long ago. And then we created some formula at that time in 2023 for county consultation as well and added that as a line item. We provide, it's clinical supervision to the targeted case managers in most of our counties, all but Swift County and Meeker County. It's pretty limited. I think it's only adults that we provide, so for adult targeted case management. And so essentially it's monthly supervision for the case managers. It's our clinicians that provide that. And then if you have a new case manager who's never had any experience, they have to have weekly supervision for a year before they can be on their own. And so we provide that, and so we put in a line item just to show this is kind of what the costs are for your county to provide that every year, so that the counties could see that. Any questions so far? It's a lot.
Do you have, when you have that, provide that supervision for folks, is there any kind of a stipulation that they need to stay for a year or whatever it might be, so that it's not like, oh, I got my hours, I'm good, and now I'm gone to the next opportunity to?
We don't. I don't know if the county does.
It's a statutory requirement for us to provide that service, that those people providing the service have ongoing clinical supervision. It's not, it doesn't build towards their licensing.
Okay.
It specifically actually excludes licensure supervision. It's to meet the statutory requirement for that program.
Okay.
And we do bill, we get that hit rate for those services.
Okay.
But it doesn't preclude that person from then moving to a different county and working, like, it happens. It does happen. And I think, and Tina could probably speak more to this as well, it seems like there was more folks coming into the coffers that just had that experience, and so they didn't require that weekly supervision, and now we're just getting more people that are coming into this field brand new and just needing that weekly supervision. So I think it's just coming up more and more that that's a need for counties. 24 to 25, we had some pretty major structural changes. So we closed detox at the end of 2023. So we removed that allocation in our purchase of service contract. And then we updated our sliding fee scale to really look at specific programs. So instead of having a bucket that just says sliding fee scale, we said, okay, we're allocating this much to outpatient therapy. We're allocating this much to psychiatry, this much to day treatment programs. So again, just trying to make the contract as clear as possible to the counties. Where are your dollars going? What services are you actually paying for? And then for the first time, we allocated some dollars to our 24/7 crisis line. We've been running our 24/7 crisis line for counties. This is also a requirement as a mental health authority that you have that. And so we've been running that for decades. But this is when we've now just allocated some dollars, and it's about 3 FTE. It takes about 5 FTE to run that 24/7. We absorb the cost for the other 2 FTE, knowing that some of the calls coming in are for our mobile crisis team. They're for our residential crisis program. But others are just, I want to talk to somebody. I just need to hear a voice today. And those are some of the calls we get as well. And then in 2025, our contract was pretty similar to our 2024 contract. Not a lot changed. And then 2026. So this last year, we spent almost the whole year talking about our 2026 contract. And it was a really good conversation. I think just there's just been a lot of financial concerns at a federal level, at a state level, at a county level, at Woodland Centers level, right? All of us are trying to figure out, how do we make this work? How do we make sure these dollars are being utilized in the best way? And how do we make it really clear where these dollars are going? And some really great questions came up of, you know, why do we have all these dollars contributed to community outreach and education? Where did that come from? And where are they going? And so it really led into, okay, how are we gonna structure this contract for 2026? And then moving into 2027, we'll have a lot more discussion this next year about maybe some changes to look at for 2027 and what that could look like. So at the end of many, many months of meetings with social service directors, we came to some really, I feel like, some good conclusions on where we're gonna land with this. So we removed clinical consultation from our purchase of service contracts. Not that we're not going to do that anymore, but those will be separate contracts for the counties, essentially because it was a line item. So if you had clinical consultation from Woodland Centers and you were doing it for adults and youth, at no point could the county say, you know what, we only want to do it for youth now and take it out of our contract. You're locked in for that year. So if we have a separate contract, it's you pay per month for the services that you're using. If a county decides we're going to go a different direction and get supervision from somebody else, they could wind down with us and wind up with that person, and it allows them to make those changes and doesn't lock anybody into anything. And so this feels like a better way for everybody to be able to shift those services or increase services. Maybe you need more service from Woodland Centers than what we can provide you right now, and we can ramp that up over time. And you can see exactly what you're paying for on a month-to-month basis for that service. So taking that out of the contract and creating separate contracts for those counties that want to continue that service. Is there any questions on that? It's a shift, but it's really a shift, I think, in a direction that helps everybody. So it's about, when you look at that, it's about a 6.47 reduction in the overall purchase of service contract. But again, for a lot of counties, that cost is still gonna be there, it's just in a different contract. So it looks like we're reducing the POS, but for a lot of counties, especially like Meeker County, at this point, I don't think there's any intention to move away from that service. So it will just shift to a different contract for you all. Community education funding, that was at $270,000, and again, that was the request of the finance folks in 2022 from the county saying we need a line item, let's do 10%. This year, we took a really deep look at that and said, well, what are we using these dollars for? Where are they going? And you know, we just could not justify that $270,000 into those services. We do a lot of outreach, we do a lot of community education, but a lot of it is also what we just do in our communities. So it's something we would do regardless. And so where we landed with this was we will do 5 hours of education in every community for next year, for 2026, at $280 an hour. So every county is going to get charged $9,800 on that line item compared to the $270,000. So what we did with those excess dollars is we shifted them into services, so we can do more direct care services, more therapy, more psychiatry, and be able to shift that into where we're doing direct care services instead of outreach and education, where it was just unclear of where are those line items and what are we doing for that. The same with outreach. We went through each county, and it was actually helpful for us. So we created a list. We had all of our directors, all of our programs say, what are you doing for outreach? Because we've just never created a list. We don't track it, we just do it. And it happens in every single program and service that we do. And so we had all of our people come together and say, over the last year, here's all the things that we've done. And then looked at each county and said, okay, what of these things really goes into our purchase of service contract and are the pieces that we think matter for this county, or things that Woodlands would just do generally anyway. And so we created a list for Meeker County, and that's actually on this next page, just to help you understand what you are looking at for that. So for outreach, we do local advisory council on a monthly basis. We participate in the CARE task force and the Zero Suicide task force. So for every county, this list is a little bit different. And that dollar amount's a little bit different because it might be a monthly activity that we do 5 things in Chippewa County, but there's 3 things in Meeker County. So that's why that dollar amount varies by county, different activities that we're doing. And so every year we can look at this and say, is there a new initiative? Is there something new that we're doing for outreach in Meeker County that you want us to participate in? And we can adjust that every year based off of what we're doing. So that's where that shift. And again, the excess dollars in there, the 270 going down to the 112, we just put that again right into direct care services. So Those will go towards more therapy and psychiatry services. What else? Youth day treatment, this doesn't necessarily apply for you all, but if you're looking at the contract and you're wondering about it, we have an allocation for day treatment services for youth and adults. We provide those services. Adult day treatment is actually virtual, almost 100% virtual, so anybody, anywhere can participate in that, and we've had a lot of participation from all of our counties. Youth day treatment is only in Wilmer 5 days a week, 4 days a week. So it's really hard for some of our kiddos to come here 4 days a week in person from some of our outlying counties. So Big Stone, Renville, Lacaparo, they're not using that service. So it's really hard for us to justify having an allocation for a service they're not using. Doesn't mean if the kid gets referred, we're not gonna take them. We will certainly take them, but there's just not enough utilization to justify putting it in the purchase of service. So all of their day treatment allocation is only adult day treatment for those 3 counties. And then we have youth crisis. Youth crisis. So our youth crisis program has been around since the 1980s. As I said, we were the only youth crisis center in the whole entire state for many years, and that's because there is no funding source for youth crisis. We bill the counties for day rates, and then, and if we don't make it, we don't make it. But for the last, I would say, as long as I've been in this position, we have lost between $400,000 to $500,000 in that program every year. It runs in the red. And our rates have not gone up substantially for years. They've run at $300 a day for decades. We should have been increasing those rates, but we didn't. So over the last few months, we've been talking to social service directors of, we have to either increase the day rate to help cover the costs, or we have to close the program. Like, I can't continue to sustain a $500,000 loss every year. And so we looked at those rates, what they mean. We also have contracts, just so you all are aware, with outside counties, outside of our 7. Our 7 counties get a discounted rate. The counties that we contract with outside of that is 103% higher than what our counties pay, because you're part of us, right? Like, we've just been established here. And so Yellow Medicine, Southwest Health and Human Services, Wright County, they've had contracts with us in the past, and their day rate is 103% higher than your day rate. And then we have non-contract counties. So sometimes we get a kiddo from Dakota County that's here visiting grandma, and they want to come in. Well, Dakota County, you don't have a contract, here's the day rate, and it's substantially higher than if you had a contract with us. And they pay it because they need that kiddo here. So that does not happen a lot, but it does happen sometimes. So we have 3 tiers of rates that we have for crisis. But looking at those tiers and the percentage, about 85% of all admissions into youth crisis are from our 7 counties. And so as we built these rates and figured out how do we make up that $500,000 difference, it is, a lot of the costs are gonna come to our counties, because this is where our kids are. They're coming from our corporate counties, which is where we want them to be. If they weren't coming to youth crisis, they'd be sitting in our ERs. They'd be going to a hospital somewhere. So we do have to increase that rate. The rate is going from $345 to $890 a day. It's a substantial increase, but with that, it gives us a profit margin of about $1,000. So we're hoping to break even with just increasing that rate that much. It's not about us trying to make a lot of money. It's really trying to make that program just be whole and keep it sustainable in our community. Oh, that's a lot.
Are you seeing an increase in the youth crisis program of use of that program?
We have, actually, and some of that is because, so this last year, we were able to add another bed. So historically, we had 3 beds, but they were a double unit, and so 2 kids per room. So sometimes we could have up to 6, but sometimes we'd be full at 3 because they couldn't have a roommate. We have trauma issues, transgender kids, we have age differences. We take kids from the age of 8 all the way to 17. I'm not placing a 9-year-old in a room with a 17-year-old. So sometimes we would be full at 3, 4 kids. Now we have a single room, so we can move kids around, and so we can take up to 7, and we have been more full because we can make some of those shifts. So this last time I looked at the numbers, we were running at between 40 to 50% of our capacity, which is significantly better than where it was running before. Yeah.
So being a little bit new to this is my first year, how are your patients directed to you? Do they come to you through human services? I mean,
Great
how
question.
do people find your crisis line? How do they come to you?
Yeah, many ways. So, yeah, they can come in through our crisis line. So sometimes that's the first route, honestly. If they come in, if they call our crisis line, they want mobile crisis, it's a great way for us to say, you know what, we think you need something more, and then we can refer them into our residential unit. Sometimes law enforcement is like, we know this family, we know this kid, they bring them in. Families know about us, they bring them in. Social services refers. Primary care also will refer. So it really is a pretty big gamut of people, but it typically starts with a mobile crisis. Oh, we just wanted to talk to somebody. Okay, let's start there. And then oftentimes the parents need a break, the kids need a break, and we can get them in. And
So how does some youth in the area know what your mobile crisis line number is? How do they know that?
great
How,
question. Well, they have to know the number, right? And so we have magnets out there. We have a lot of information out there. But if they also know 988, they can dial 988, and if it's beyond 988's capability, they can transfer to our team. So we do have that connection too.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's multiple avenues to reach us. They can also just call our line directly, so our 320-54613, which is our main line, and that can connect them to our crisis line. So there's multiple routes, but we can't get a 3-digit number. I looked into it. I'm like, could we get a 3-digit? No, that's only federal. We don't have that capability. So, and then I thought, could we get like a creative number that's easy to remember? We looked at that, but so many people already know our crisis line, so to change it now. So we're weighing all that out of like, how do we make it easier for people? And some of it is just word of mouth, but we do have our pamphlets with law enforcement, trying to just get them to hand it out anytime they're in public, which is, that's also another task for them. We have our outreach team. We have somebody specifically doing outreach with our mobile crisis team who's going out and handing out information. So just trying to get the word out. And honestly, giving people just a little magnet to hang on their fridge, because maybe you don't need it today, but when you need it, there's the number, right? It's available. So we've also told teens, like, we'll be going to schools, take out your phone, put in the number. You don't need it today, but it'll be in your phone, right? Because nobody remembers phone numbers. I don't remember anybody's phone numbers. So that's one of the things we're trying to do, is just help everybody just get it in your phone, so when you need it, you have it.
I think mobile crisis, what year, I feel like I've been on the board forever, but we didn't have that when I first started, right?
We had mobile crisis, gosh, it's been many years, but we expanded into youth and adults
Right,
24/7 in like 2014, I think, 2015.
I think we got a large grant.
Yeah.
Free money. And it worked great. And then the free money went away mostly.
Yeah.
But every county agreed that it was such a good program that we would want to keep it. Because I think that's how they get to youth crisis, but I also think that's what keeps them out of youth crisis too. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And I hear from parents and others what a wonderful program it is. If you could just get another party in there when there's something happening, they know what they're looking at, and that's just been a great program for us, I think.
It has been really a great program, and when we go into a home, we always send 2 people. One, we don't know what we're walking into, and so it's a
Right.
safety thing. But also, when you're dealing with youth, it's really nice to have one with the parents and one with
Yep.
the kids, and we go in separate rooms, and suddenly things are much easier to be resolved.
De-escalated.
Everything
And
comes down a notch.
A lot of our staff, when we started this, covered on there, we didn't have people hired, they just covered it.
Yep.
They have some wonderful staff over there that just took their time on weekends to take call or whatever.
They still do.
And
Yeah,
still do. So,
Yep.
you know, a lot of people wouldn't do that, but they care and they know it works, so they do it.
I still do on call too. I like it. Crisis is just, it's weird, but it's a fun thing to work in, because you never know what you're gonna get, and it's different every day. And we actually had some new staff starting yesterday for our residential crisis program, and just told them, like, you might work here for many, many years, like myself and Lori Morton, our COO, and think you've seen it all, and then, oh, that's new.
You haven't
You've
seen
never
it
seen
all.
that before.
Right.
And so it just keeps you on your toes and keeps.
Are you anticipating any increase in the need for services that may be connected to cannabis legalization?
Oh, cannabis. Yes, I think so. I mean, we haven't seen anything yet, but in other states where it's been legalized, they have seen more need for substance use services. And there is a lot of risk for people that already have like schizophrenia, maybe possibility, right? They have some of the warning signs of that. Using marijuana can also trigger some of that, and so we might see some more of those folks come as well. So it might trigger some mental health diagnoses. So we anticipate, yes, there could be more, but I also think if you want to use marijuana, you're going to use it whether it's legal or not. So it's just probably more accessible. I think the one thing with legalizing it is it's safer. You know what's in it. It's not going to be laced with all these other things that could be in it. And so there is that piece too, where if you're going to use it, you're going to use it, but at least now you know what you're getting. So.
Since cannabis became legalized in Minnesota, some of the public health presentations I've seen, what it does to young brains is awful. And I don't know if, to say, well, they would do it anyway, I'm not sure. It's gonna be so accessible now for them that that's why I've been against legalization forever. If it's about taxes, I think it's gonna come back to haunt us and cost us a lot more money. It isn't safe for everyone. That's just not true.
Right.
So,
Just like alcohol, right?
Right,
It's not
same
safe
thing.
for everybody.
Yeah.
But it's
Is there, you mentioned the beds, where are they physically located? Is that Wilmer?
in Wilmer.
That's
Yep.
all in Wilmer? Okay,
Yep.
I didn't know if you had them.
Yeah, so
moved
when
around.
we closed we used to have, it was adult crisis, youth crisis, and then detox facility. They were all together. They weren't connected, but you could get to one unit to another with our staff. So when we closed detox, we essentially moved adult crisis into detox, expanded it, so we have more beds for adult, and then we were able to expand our youth crisis unit. And then our adult crisis that was in the middle is really now like our intake center, so we can take our mobile team in there, help people with admission. Before, when you would come, we had an adult unit come in, or even a youth come into our unit, they would sit right on the unit during admission. And so now it's a little more confidential, and sometimes they don't stay for admission. And so this is a nice way to have just this receiving center kind of in the middle. So that's how we've restructured the units a little bit. Yep. Yeah, if you ever are in Wilmer, if you'd like a tour, please let me know. Happy to show you around anytime. Absolutely.
How many beds do you have?
So we have 7 beds for youth and 8 for adults.
Okay.
and I think youth is pretty active. They're full a lot, aren't they? So I don't know if that need is being filled or not, but it certainly helps. But
It helps. It helps. So I did give you, so this third page in your packet really just walks through Meeker County's contract, just line by line, so you can see where those dollars are going and what is in those line items. We've kind of talked through it, but if you have more questions about it, please let me know. And then there is, I don't know if I have the whole packet. There is another page in there that is kind of colorful and has pink. It's just a graphic that shows you year from year how it's changed, because some people are just more visual versus like talking through it. And so you can see where the lines kind of shifted and where the dollars shifted and the different allocations. One of the bottom percentages is the percentage of the POS to our overall revenue. So you can see year by year how that has really gone down. And the big shift was when we became a CCBHC in 2022. Our revenue increased substantially because of how we get paid as a CCBHC. And so we have more revenue coming in as a result of that. And so the reliance on the purchase of service is significantly less as far as our overall revenue. And then I believe the next line, if I'm correct, is the percentage of change. So every year when we've increased the purchase of service, it's not like we say, okay, Meeker County is going to increase by 5% and Big Stone by 3%. It was across the board, we do an increase. And so you can see how much that has changed over the years. One of the years, 2018, was a pretty big increase, but that's because Big Stone came in. And so their allocation, like we had an increase, but it wasn't a huge increase to all of the counties. It's just an increase in the POS because they're now contributing to it.
and when they came back in, they had to pay to play.
Did.
We didn't just say, yeah, come on back. I don't remember what it was, but there was a fee to come back.
There was a fee. Yep. And then so over the years, we've really done about a 1% to 2% increase in the purchase of service. This year, there will not be an increase. Essentially, it'll look like a decrease, but like I said, you'll have a separate contract for the clinical consultation. So for Meeker County, it will be a bit of a wash. And then there is just the one other colorful sheet that's just showing you the purchase of service for each county, so you can see how some of the dollars are allocated for each county. And then the next 2 pages are just data from 2024, and then the first 6 months of 2025 on the different services that we offer in the purchase of service contract. So psychiatry, or medication management, therapy. And these are the number of services we provided, not necessarily the number of people. So you can just see the number of services that have been provided. Like I said, in all of 2024, and then the first 6 months of 2025. There's a lot of information. Like I said, I maybe bury you guys in information, but I like to provide a lot. But if you have any questions, I mean, anytime, I also want to be a resource for you all. So if there's ever anything that comes up about mental health, substance use, you have a question, please use me as a resource. Happy to answer any questions. I might say, I don't know, but that's a great question. Let me look into it. But please use me as a resource as well. If you have questions about Woodland Centers, happy to take your call. Please reach out anytime.
Thank you, Ashley.
Ashley, looking at one of the graphs here, is the county paused at on that med management for adults. We're significantly higher than all other counties except for Candy, Ohio.
Yeah. We actually have a provider on site here a few days a week. So they are here in person, and then we do a lot of telehealth. And so the telehealth appointments, if the provider and the client are both at home, which can happen, we allocate it to the county where the client would come. So if they're closer to the Meeker County office, that gets attributed to Meeker County. But oftentimes, sometimes even clients come into the office when the provider's off-site and they use our equipment because they don't have equipment or not reliable internet, any number of reasons. So they might come into our office, and then we attribute it to that county as well. Yeah.
You do it by the site, not necessarily the county residence?
Yes, so it is by the site, so that is, it. Yeah, so if somebody is, it happens often, more often, I would say, for like our Lacaparle and Chippewa office, they're about 20 miles apart. So we have clients that come from Dawson and go to our Chippewa office location. So if they're being seen in our Chippewa location, they're being allocated to Chippewa. They're not based on where their county of residence is. So for this type of data, we can pull it based off county of responsibility as well. But it's really looking at where is that service being delivered and how are we allocating it based on the service utilization, if that makes sense.
So you've been with Woodland how long?
I started in 2011 as a clinician, and I've been the CEO since 2016, almost 10 years.
So in those years, what's the biggest negative impact that's happened and what's the most positive?
Oh, man, biggest negative impact. Oh, there's so many things. DHS, is that an answer?
3 letters, that makes sense.
It's painful at times to work with DHS, but, I think some of I'm honestly anticipating some of the changes to Medicaid are gonna be probably the hardest. COVID was pretty awful, really hard, and I think the long-lasting effects of that, we're still seeing it. Kids coming back into school, not being socialized, not having those skills, having a lot of anxiety. People still trying to get back into the office and get the workforce back in. It's an ongoing challenge. So COVID was challenging for everybody. It was so hard. Positives, I mean, gosh, we're beating some of the stigma, I would say. Simone Biles was in Minnesota on Sunday. If you didn't know that, her husband plays for the Bears, and I saw her. She's here. I'm like, but she's like, that's one of the people, right? Like, we have these national, huge people coming out and saying, like, I can't compete on a world level because I have mental health concerns right now, and that I think it's huge for us. Like, we haven't beat the stigma, but it's so much better, and people are willing to reach out, and people are willing to get help. And my hope is that number, I mean, we've seen the numbers in the past where people are waiting 8 to 10 years from the first symptom to the time they get help. We're hoping to get that much lower because that's a death sentence. I mean, that's too long. And so by the time we see them, they're in such a bad state, it's hard to get people back to their functioning and where they want to be. So if we can lower that, I mean, I would hope I start to feel something, I'm going to talk to somebody, that would be great. we don't do that with mental health either, but let's get there. Yeah. And I think just the integrated care, like we are now more focused on mental health in the mental health and substance use world. We don't stay in our box, right? Like, oh, it's just a mental health concern. No, we ask all the questions. Do you smoke? Have you seen your doctor lately? How are your diabetes? Like, are you following your care plan? Like, how is that going for you? We ask all the questions because we treat the whole person. And if any part of that's not working, the rest of it doesn't matter. We also ask about social determinants of health, because if you have nowhere to live, it does not matter how much depression care we throw at you, it will not help. So those are pieces we're looking at too. Yeah, great question. Thank
And
you.
we've been at Woodland, you know, we've had some troubling times
Yeah.
the last few years, like everybody has. And I'm gonna say that Ashley has stepped up and done some things that are difficult for everyone, but has done them. Our staff has hung in there, and sometimes when, you know, we had to make some decisions that would affect them, but I think people that work there are there for the right reasons. They just wanna treat mental, and that's so important. So it's been enjoyable being on this board for all these years. So thanks to you and your staff.
Any other questions for Ashley?
Up for me.
Okay.
Well, thank you for all your support. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Are you happy with the new office now that we're all moved in? I mean,
Yes,
here.
beautiful here.
Yeah,
Love it.
good.
Yes, yes.
Good,
Well,
good.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Ashley.
You've been on the board that long. How many times were you chair?
Once for sure. I was chair for a lot of years, that's how that, it's one time, but yeah.
I had to get you on that
I
one. I
know.
didn't have any choice.
No term limits there?
No term limits on that.
All right, next up is Heather, our finance director.
Tough act to follow after
Yes.
that. Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Today I'm here to discuss the contract for Ellers to be our investment advisors for both us and the hospital. One of the benefits would be as the interest rates decline fast, they would be able to provide us more opportunity, more investments to keep our investment income growing, and this especially would be true for the hospital because they have other county-owned hospitals that they're in charge of, so they're very well aware of all the things that the county hospital could be investing in, but isn't right now due to the structure that we have.
And I think we met with them, with Ellers, Steve and I and Mary Ellen and Tyler. They seem like a great fit for what Tyler and Heather want to move ahead and do. So.
I agree, having someone who's an expert in finance. Question I have is do they charge us, and if so, how much?
They take it out of our investment earnings. We say, we want you to make our budget, and then they just take it out of.
Oh, okay.
So.
Well, that's fair, because if we don't do well, they don't do well.
That's right.
So we don't currently have an investment advisor?
We do not. We have agents that we work with. Like we work with Wells Fargo Advisors, we work for PFM. We'll still keep some money at PFM, but they'll call and they'll say, here's what we have available when things mature. This would be a more proactive approach.
Yeah.
The only one, do we have a start date?
No,
this-
because you need to approve it first and then we'll.
But I mean, it's not January 1. We're gonna start?
We could start as early as next
Okay.
month. once-
Okay, that was the only thing I didn't see in here, so. No, I think it's a good move. I think it's
Yep, I
something
agree.
we need to do.
I would look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve the Ellers investment agreement and authorize the finance director, Heather, I hate pronouncing your name.
It's okay, Lemieux.
And the board chair to execute all necessary documents related to the Ellers investment agreement on behalf of the county.
We have a motion by Commissioner Olberg. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Samke. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Heather.
Thanks, Heather.
Thanks.
Phil Smalls, you know, somehow you always get to be towards the end, don't you?
Be in the beginning.
Is anyone else cold, or is it just me?
It's chilly.
Do you need some coffee?
That's all right. Gotta watch my
Good
blood
morning, Phil
pressure.
Schmalz, Public Works Director. 2 items for you this morning. Both of them include a resolution. The first one is to consider supporting our CASA 14 Local Road Improvement LRIP Program Grant. I'm applying for $900,000 to try and help us fund this project. If you look in the financial impact section of what I submitted, if we aren't successful with this, I'll probably have to pull the project just because we're gonna be allocating those funds to the CASA 26 bridge to make sure that gets completed in 2026.
Is there a lot of LRIP funds available this year, or is this a little tighter year?
I don't have the exact numbers off the top of my head. Typically, it's every second year because they try and tie it to bonding at the state level. I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 10% or less than 10% of projects that were funded 2 years ago. I'm expecting we're in that same ballpark this year, so. Put together the best application I can, try and make a case for our road, because it does have some significant features as far as how it impacts the state's road system with connectivity between Highway 12 and Trunk Highway 24, and running parallel to Trunk Highway 15.
Questions for Phil?
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve the LRIP application approval resolution for CASA 14 roadway improvement project.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Schmidt. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Samke. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Corey, we will need a roll call.
Commissioner Olberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Ort,
Yes.
Commissioner Samke,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you. Second for your consideration is another LRIP program, but this is for the township, so we're looking for a resolution to act as their sponsor. That's mainly for handling the money and making sure they follow the state aid process if they receive the funds. And there's also a letter of support in the folder, which hopefully you had a chance to review. If you're satisfied with it, sign it, to support Darwin Township's project on behalf of the county board. The application is from 260th Street, which, if you're familiar with it, this road's in tough shape. It does have a pretty high traffic load for a township road like that. It takes, I think, some 12 traffic. And then Johnson Drive, recently connected by our office, added some traffic to this route. I think it's a very worthy project, good candidate for the LRIP program. And if you're curious, we're not in direct competition with townships for these funds. They allocate a portion of the funds to counties and a portion to townships. There's some regional distribution they look at, so I mean, there could be some comparison that way, but we're not in direct competition.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve a sponsorship resolution for the Darwin Township LRIP application and approve the letter of support.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Olberg. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schmidt. Any further discussion? Hearing none, this is a resolution. Corey, please.
Commissioner Van Ort,
Yes.
Commissioner Samke,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yep.
Commissioner Olberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, Phil.
Are they working on 260, are you doing something on 260th?
The township was gonna replace some culverts.
Oh,
We're not helping them with that. They were doing that independently with, I think it was Mathewitz Construction.
Okay.
How are we doing with operators? Are we down two?
Down 3.
Do we have any hope on the horizon, or
On what?
is there any hope on the horizon
Always
before?
hope.
I know.
Been an applicant for a while.
Oh, goodness. Okay. It's gonna affect snow.
I drove the road repair. Seems pretty good to me. So, the one over there where the accident was, the culvert.
Oh, yeah. The second patch is much better than the first one. The first one was unacceptable.
Yeah. So I'm glad you had him come back, because that was, yeah. All right, thank you. Our county administrator's report.
No, actually, we are going
We're
to
gonna
talk.
talk about the consent agenda item.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nuclear moratorium.
Yep, yep.
Happens. Not very often with you. Nice today, don't I?
Everybody's looking at me.
I guess what we need,
You started it.
if there is no motion, this will just die. Okay, this discussion, we can bring it back at any time.
So a couple options you have today are, you could, table this discussion, you could, vote to approve it today. You could vote against it and deny it today. You could vote to table it until a future date. you know, as Commissioner Schmidt had said, there's likely some information that's gonna come out through the AMC annual conference in a couple of weeks. We could certainly put this on the agenda immediately after that, which would be December 16th, and we could reconsider it at that time. So those are really the three choices that you have today.
So you're looking to just table it for more information?
Yeah, I'd like myself garner a little more information behind it. We just talked about it Monday a little bit, with a platform resolution, meeting at AMC, and Matt Hilger gave some information that's already in our platform. It's already part of AMC's platform. And I think, and I'm gonna paraphrase here, this is me talking, not AMC, just, I think there's a little, sometimes if you don't present it right, you weaken your position rather than strengthen it. I think there's conversation that we're at, this is one of them times. So rather than jump on board and then try and back out of something later, I'd like to, let's get through the meeting, we'll have commissioner there, you can visit with other counties, and we'll hear about it. General government and environment has it in their packet, so if you're in those meetings, you can ask questions. I think it'd just be good for all of us to get a little bit more on it before we jump on board with it. That's my own.
I don't have an issue with tabling it.
I don't either. I think that's
fine.
wise. I'd rather
Till
get more
after-
information.
I just,
After AMC.
timing wise, we're this close to the annual.
that's
meeting.
fine.
I thought that's a good way to.
Do
Yeah.
we need a motion for that?
We need a motion to table it to a
Yeah.
specific date?
I just wanna say-
Or can we leave that date open?
You could leave it open, you could motion to table it until,
A future.
yeah, until a future meeting as scheduled by the board chair.
So I'll make a motion that we table it, the resolution urging repeal of nuclear energy production moratorium, to a later date.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Olberg. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Van Ort. Any further discussion?
I just wanna I just think this is an important issue for the state.
Well, I don't
And
think
I'm
anybody's
very much
gonna-
in favor of it. I just totally agree with, we wanna do it correctly and right.
Get it
With
done.
the strongest hand we can. So that's, I just needed to say,
Sure.
I'm a
I agree. And
big proponent.
And I
Well
think
said.
AMC agrees too. I just wanna make sure kinda everybody's marching to the same,
Absolutely.
beat here, so.
Okay.
With that, I will call the question. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Both same sign, motion carries. Now, we will have the county administrator's report.
Yes, just a couple of quick things for you today. As a reminder, we have the Midtown Lofts tour immediately after we wrap up business today. We're scheduled to be over there at 10:30. Technically, our meeting will wrap up at the conclusion of that. We will adjourn the meeting at that time, so we can have a quorum of commissioners there.
I already went with the hospital and saw it, so I'm not gonna be attending, but if you haven't, it's
Yeah, and I have also had the tour, so I am not going to participate in the tour.
have you had the tour yet? 'Cause
I have not had the tour yet.
have you, Steve?
Nope. No.
So-
PDA
Worth the
was-
tour for sure.
So that will establish the quorum to adjourn the meetings. So you'll have to adjourn the meeting.
Okay.
The other two things real quick are, we are gonna have a work session next week. It's gonna focus on the zoning code, information for the board on, you know, the different zoning districts, what's allowable, what's not allowable in those districts. And so Greg will be presenting on that. And then, lastly, as a reminder, county's offices will be closed next Thursday and Friday, the 27th and 28th, in observance of Thanksgiving. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
All right, we move on to our Board of Commissioners reports, committee updates. Who would like to start? Don't all speak at once.
I can, I can just mention.
You're in it now.
On the
Go.
12th, I took in a lunch and learn for the AMC about the GIS system. And I'm still a little bit confused about it, to be honest with you, because I did ask the question about how does that relate to Beacon?
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing, because they said they were competing formats.
So Beacon is it's a GIS software.
Right.
And so the actual data is.
GIS is like an umbrella term.
Yes.
That
And
Beacon is the
so-
form we use.
Yes, so the data that we use, it ultimately goes into, so Esri is a company that creates GIS software. ArcGIS is one of their softwares. It goes into that, and then Beacon is the front-facing piece of it.
Okay.
So it is exactly the same thing.
Okay, because that wasn't what they told me.
What he was saying was that what they use, their software, their competing software is, like an open source version of GIS
Oh.
software. That's what he was saying.
Okay, yeah, that was the guy from McLeod.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you, that made more sense to me than what, anyway. The AIS meeting was on the 13th. That was kind of a little smaller. They are having I think their budget is actually going down a little bit this year, but they're concerned about 2027.
Where was the meeting?
It was, yeah, I found you
He's
too.
knocking on every
It was
door.
over at the Justice Center in the
Uh-huh.
basement.
I wondered about that.
So, yeah, there was like 3 of us here. We're
Yeah.
all made our way there.
I don't know where to go.
And then we had EDA meeting that night as well. Again, there's still, a number of things are getting paid off, which are positive. I think that was the main gist of the EDA, but there's, again, more, yeah, they have money to lend, let's just put it that way, I guess. Those are all the ones I was at.
Okay, thank you, Darren. Are you next in line there?
Yeah, I can go here.
Then we'll go to you.
Okay.
We've had I've had a lot of, seems like the focus has been DCYF, Department of Children, Youth and Families, SNAP, and then we have 3 subcommittees within a incident command committee above that. So between the SNAP that I'm on and the incident command, we've had some big meetings. I think and Tina is also in some of those meetings, and I think there is a real appetite for the future that DHS needs an overhaul.
Yep.
And that's,
Here, here.
we're kind of reaching a tipping point, if you will. I think we're delivering, we are talking to Barb Dahl, who's Scott County's DHS administrator, and very well versed and does a lot of testimony and stuff on behalf of AMC, and you know, we talked quite at length one day and just about we're spending more dollars, but we're not reaching any more people. And so we can't come back to Meeker County and say, hey, well, we helped this whole new group of people, we're not creating new groups of people to help, but we're spending tremendous amounts of money for the same group of people, and that's an unsustainable pattern. And I think DHS knows it. Some of the concerns and conversations that we have there are that, in DHS's own words, they have no way to monitor a lot of these programs. So whether it's, if you wanna, you know, the headline is fraud, waste, and abuse, but is it malicious? Probably not, but they just don't have staff. The laws have been passed, and so that they have to administer things, but there's nobody to follow up, to do things. I mean, you just don't have the staff to do it, and what additional dollars would it take to have staff to do it? So, I mean, that compounds the problem even more. So there's a lot going on there, you know, and there's things that are gonna have to change in the future. Is that gonna be reduction of services of some kind? I think that's the only way you get to that. At the end of it, we can pretend it's not gonna happen, but I think we also need to admit that it's a reality of where we're at right now, so.
Well, one of my questions, I find it, and I'm reading things and
Sure.
it's true, but this has uncovered some real warts, like with SNAP, right?
Yeah.
So I can't believe that you have people drawing in 3 different states and there isn't a way through software or something. you should be able to put their social security number in and see if they're in North Dakota shouldn't you, I mean, some of
Have you
this.
seen our software?
Well, that's the issue, I know. But I'm saying, some of this isn't rocket science.
No.
Well,
So
and
to
that's-
me,
and there's a
it's just,
failure.
they've not been, we pass something and hand it out, and another thing we're finding is cutting anything is darn near impossible, because somebody's gonna be out protesting no matter what it is. But if we don't start making those calls soon and getting rid of the fraud, and if you're drawing in 3 states, there should be, jail or something, right? Because that affects the people who really need it in the end. So when they say it's not our fault, I get it,
I'm not.
but you know what I'm saying.
I'm not saying it's.
Right.
I don't think they're deflecting that. I think what they're saying is the reality is
It's too much.
we don't have people to do all this. I mean, we have laws passed and people are eligible for this, and we can barely get that
Well, it's
done,
easier
much
just-
less.
There's no way to monitor
Rather
it.
than monitor, it's just easier to let it be.
Well, that's the consequence.
But you can't keep doing
Of
that.
poor planning, of poor infrastructure, poor systems to work with. I mean, we went 6 different programs, none of them speak to one another.
Well, it starts back with that,
There's
obviously.
multiple, critical failures is the way I would say of the systems. So it's no wonder there's waste.
So is there a plan for the future to change it? That's my question.
I think it's staring them right in the face right now. I believe that's the true statement. What's gonna come out of it, then we gotta put the legislative, political piece in there and that wrangling, that's what
Won't
changes
be in my lifetime then.
things.
I'll be gone.
Then last, so
I
that
do.
was,
Things take forever.
the bigger pieces on that. I did have, last week I had AMC Futures on Thursday, Friday in St. Paul, and there we talked about, they discussed, it, and we put things out there in a group of 35 people. So Texas and Florida presented on eliminating property tax and how that is working or not working, and how challenging it is. And Minnesota does things considerably different. Florida does a mill rate, so it is based on your evaluation directly, evaluation of your property changes. Me and Andrew were talking about it, a little bit more like a local option sales tax type thing is the way they do it. But Minnesota doesn't do it that way. We have a different procedure that we use where, it isn't, your valuation isn't 100% of your property tax, so.
There's a lot of publicity about Minnesota and property tax this year with I'm reading it all over.
It's
about the millions
starting.
and millions of people are gonna start to feel this and hear about it.
It's all that we've been talking about all summer is, it's starting to hit
Coming to-
the headlines
coming to-
now.
If they don't have property taxes, how do they propose paying for police, roads? I mean,
Bigger sales tax.
They have sales tax.
things like
sales
that.
tax, gotcha. Okay.
More along that.
I think it also depends on your population and, right, Florida has a lot of
Density,
density, I think.
Well, they also have a lot of people go down there in the winter.
That's right.
yes, so everyone else can pay for that.
Wealthier
And
people.
it doesn't,
And those
that's
folks like
not,
to-
and that's not all, that's not commercial, it's not industrial, and that's not vacation or, hotels or VRBOs or Airbnbs and stuff. Anything like that would, still has a property tax.
So just private personal property,
Just your home,
your home,
yeah, your
homestead?
personal home,
Okay,
so.
Take it out on small
Um,
business again.
yes.
And then we talked about,
Here's the road, sure.
shotgun and rifle, conversation, which is gonna come up. For us, and obviously the state law changes January 1. So I know Redwood, I was getting some texts last night from somebody out that way that they had their public hearing last night, apparently Redwood, County. So they're taking up, some counties, are not gonna do anything. They said the state changed the law and we're just gonna let it go, so. I'm still seeing, last night,
I think that was my idea.
conversation I was
Let's
in,
just-
there was one gentleman said he was all for slugging, the guy sitting right ahead of him was shaking his head, no, and that's the way I've been getting it all along, about a 50-50.
50-50.
Real close, anyway, so, it'll be interesting, I've just been telling folks we're gonna take it up after the first of the year, we've got that January to May time window, that's kinda, we'll hash it out once the law actually does change, so. Other than that, on Monday, we had a Zoom with Matt Hilgart. Paul Verrett is the new, AMC HHS. He took over Matt Freeman left, so Paul Verrett is the new HHS, gentleman for AMC. So he'll be at the annual meeting, just started yesterday.
Steve, I thought Angie had something to do with that.
Angie does. She's child well-being specialist.
So she'll still be up.
Yep, she's in that same atmosphere, let's put it that way, but Paul is taking, I can't remember what Freeman's, I don't remember, it's not HHS, but it's what his official title is, but it's Paul Verrett. And then, we had our final policy and platform committee meeting, Zoom meeting yesterday morning. And that was everything that everybody talks about through district meetings gets scored, we scored it and then they lay that all out, and now that our committee looked at it, now it'll go back to each committee chair, policy chair, and vice chair, and if there's any changes, tweaks, language, stuff like that, so there's a lot, I'm learning, there's a tremendous amount goes into preparing for an annual meeting that I didn't realize, so. And then this afternoon, we have extension and a class and comp tomorrow. So, that's all I got.
Beth?
Well, let's see what I have. First of all, I've been absent, so thank you for covering. Hopefully, things are gonna get back to normal soon. I had a CHS executive meeting. We went over met the consultants that are for the, not integration, but to look at the study that we're doing. They came in. There was a lot of talk at that time about WIC, et cetera, because it was during the shutdown and nobody knew what was gonna happen, and that's kind of been solved, we hope, so. I had a supporting hands meeting. I did that remotely. We went over mostly the end of the year like we always do. We approved increases, 3% I believe they went to, plus they do some merit that. We did our budget, approved our proposed 2026 budget. They're looking into some extra grants through Blue Cross and a couple other things. And I think they're still short a nurse in Renville. They're looking for somebody, so that was that. I had, McLeod, the CHS meeting, Paul and I were at. I'll go over some of it, and then Paul, I'll probably miss some things, so if you want to get into it. There again, we had some presentations. SHIP did a presentation that was interesting. Farm to Daycare, that was a presentation about, they took some daycare centers. Were they in McLeod County?
McLeod County.
And they got a farmer on board, several farmers, I guess, and provided free food from the farmers, so from table to the daycare center. And the kids would do little experiments, say when they had string beans. They did different things with them, and then that would be on their lunch menu for the day. It sounds like it was pretty successful.
Yeah.
Peppers they did peppers one day. It wasn't a very popular, but they had a grant, SHIP did, so they were able to pay the farmers for their products, so you're introducing food to the kids in the daycare that's good for them, and it sounded interesting, and I think it was. We approved increases for staff. The COLA, was that 3% also, I think we went with. Went over our different policies for the FMLA and the things that are coming up. Is there anything else? It was pretty, I had some questions about our joint powers agreement and some things by one of our new members there from Meeker. Had some questions about, which were legitimate. We haven't gone over our joint powers agreement for a while, and so that's something that probably these consultants can look into too. There's some things we are doing that probably don't line up with the joint powers agreement, because that's what happens when you don't look at them for so long.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not operating,
Right, you're not quite
you're
operating.
not doing
You're not doing what you
how
should be
you're,
doing.
how it's
so,
written, you might as
yeah.
well match
Well, your
practice to the. policy.
bylaws derive from the joint powers agreement, so you gotta follow the bylaws, or change the bylaws.
Yeah.
One of the two.
And I think
just-
that's kinda what we're doing, so. That was the meetings, I had a couple meetings while I was gone, but they're so far back that. And then also, there's old news now, is what I'm trying to say, I won't take up your time. And then, we met afterwards for some evaluations of our administrator, and that's still in progress, so. Oh, and then we got a, email yesterday from Jim Prisbilla, this is good news. I'm pleased to inform you that as of January 1st, Prime West Health will be the single plan for PMAP. That's prepaid medical assistance program participants, medical assistance participants under age 65 in our 24 county service area. DHS announced this into the county's human services agencies last week. The single plan status is projected to increase enrollment by 26,000 members. This is what we've been in court about for several times and lost and then appealed and now have won. So that was what it was about. It's a big win for us. And they're still waiting on the word on the single plan for other programs, so they'll, more to come on that, probably is in 27. I'm not sure that they thought we would be starting already in 26.
We did at the last meeting, give
missed
Jim the
that.
authority to hire.
Okay.
He needs to
So,
start hiring now
yeah,
to be
right.
ready for January.
'Cause we're-
That's 26,000 more.
Yeah, so it's good news all
Very good.
around, so, because we've been struggling a little bit in that area too, so. Yeah, that's all I have.
Cheryl.
Well, I will keep it concise as usual. Really didn't have a lot going on in the last week. Darren and I did the election canvassing. This afternoon, have an extension committee meeting, Zoom meeting tomorrow, general government policy, and then Pioneer Land Library later this week, so that's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Well, Beth already kind of covered Prime West. I'll just hit the finances a little bit. Our year-to-date net income as of September is $799,000. Our cash balance at the end of September is $111 million, which is down from $120 million last year. So DHS has revisited our reimbursement rates and made some adjustments, so it did bring us another $7.9 million and should help for the last 2 months of this year, 3 months of this year as we go forward. Beth shared with you about the new 26,000 folks. Just a reminder, once again, we own this company, this is ours, so it's a good thing. PAC for Families, we set the budget for next year, and just so you understand, PAC for Families basically works off of grants. And we had enough grants, grant revenue, that we will not have to dip, as of right now, could change during the year, of course, but as of right now, we will not have to dip into any reserves to make our budget, so that's very good.
How much money do they have?
Not that much in reserve, you know, it sounds like we're gonna tap
Used to
into
be quite a bit,
reserves,
I
but,
think.
I
Have
don't,
they been in their reserves? Because I thought they kept quite a bit of reserve.
yeah, we've had to dip, we dipped a little bit last year, not significant, it was small. But we always try and have a balanced budget, so we put forth, we passed the balanced budget, and that included a different position, not a new position, just a change in what it's called. But we had to throw some money at the development of that program. We still came out, though, without having to hit reserves, so we were very pleased at the end of that meeting. 23. CHB meeting, Beth, you covered it. You hit all the notes there, so I don't really have anything to add to that. Then the following day, Friday, I was down in Marshall for our Southwest 18 Mental Health Consortium meeting. Went very well. We saw a lot of participation at the meeting. People speaking up, asking questions, and making suggestions. We did decide to hire a firm to do a strategic plan. We have had some issue. We have an advisory committee, and then we have the governance board. The advisory committee used to make all the decisions. They were the governance board. And so it's just now been a year ago, well, not quite, it will be on the first of the year, where we had the new joint powers agreement signatures and the new bylaws, so their role has changed. Had a little trouble with them feeling like they're still essential. And, you know, we have to keep reminding them, we're commissioners. We don't deal with this every single day. We don't know the ins and outs of what you do. You are important to what we do. So we hired the same firm as was hired by the CHS.
Okay.
And the lead person there, Paul Fleschner, I'm probably butchering his name, and the second one, Kate Lerner, both used to work at DHS. And Paul was in the mental health area.
Wow.
So he brings a significant amount of expertise already. We don't have to bring him up to speed. We're not paying to bring him up to speed. He's there already. So we think that that will be a very, very good move going forward. So our next meeting, Joint Powers meeting, is February. There will be an election of officer. I have chaired that one this past year. So at the next meeting, there should be a new chair. I would assume that the vice chair will move up into that role, and then I'll take a seat in the audience instead of being a part. But it's been a great pleasure to be, to watch this development as everybody has learned a new role. Even the executive director, Kim, who's actually not really an executive director, she's under contract with us, a little different situation, but she's had a major transformation too in the way she operates. So everybody's just really, I think we're moving very well. Next Monday, I have a CPT meeting, and that is in Morris. We're gonna be discussing some potential new clients. And I think you have a strategic plan meeting, or maybe did already.
Did already.
Did they talk about the potential new clients?
Couple, yeah.
Yeah. And as our executive board meeting was yesterday, there can be no degradation of services that we provide to our existing 24 counties if we take on more, which I think, you know, you can outgrow what you can do, and I don't want to see us do that.
So
So,
when we, not to interrupt you, but I had this question when I was looking at warrants the other day too, and I forgot. So when CPT does work for us, we pay them.
monthly, yep,
So it's a monthly fee and nothing else, that's it?
Correct.
Okay, so it's, in the end, it's a pretty good deal. I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
it's very reasonable compared to what we would be able to purchase the same software.
I just had wondered about that before, so it's not, it's just the same no matter what they do, or if they do more, is
Well,
there more charge?
They aren't doing, other than support services.
Okay,
Really what we're paying for is the maintenance of the software, just like we
And
pay
that's
for
all they
maintenance
do.
of other software,
Okay.
right?
is there other things they can do?
yes.
That would be cheaper for us,
Yeah, I don't know if it'd be cheaper or not. There, we have a
because we use a markup.
significant amount of.
Well,
right?
that's
Or
not,
is
the-
that
that's not
different?
the sort of.
Okay.
That is
Okay,
the sort of.
that was my question.
Yes, there's some software packages that we do not participate in for various reasons.
Okay.
So,
All right, good,
So,
thank you.
all right, that ends it. So you folks will be just in time for your 10:30
Tour.
tour. It's a good tour. I think you're gonna like it.
I wonder how the rentals are going. I see a few cars parked out there, so,
Well, on November 1st, it's the first move-ins.
yeah, I
So
heard, I knew that.
with that, is there any other business to come before this board? If not, I'm going to recess it, and you will go to Midtown Lofts. All right, we're in recess. Cory? You will be in